Melissa and Aaron here for Truthstream Media.
Hi, everybody.
Hey guys, in my spare time I actually write for the Daily Sheeple, which is a really awesome alternative media website. Definitely suggest you go check it out. But I wrote this story last night in the middle of the night as soon as I saw it pop up in the news feed, because I just couldn't believe it. Police kill unarmed car wreck survivor running to them for help. So this is what happened. A 24-year-old former college football player wrecked his car so badly in Charlotte, North Carolina that he had to climb out the back window of his car, and he took off running for the nearest house he could find. And the woman there was home alone, and so her reaction was to slam the door in his face, hit her panic alarm, and dial 911.
And that speaks to the fear in society, although, she had the right to do that.
But it definitely speaks to the fear that is permeated our society. But what happened next, I don't think is in any way justifiable whatsoever. The cops showed up to the scene, and the man, Jonathan Farrell, took off running for them because he was probably in shock. He'd just been in a horrible car wreck. And the first officer reacted by pulling out his stun gun, but it malfunctioned. So another officer reacted by pulling out his actual gun and opening fire. And the victim was hit multiple times and died in the street.
And what a shame, because he was going there to get help. Who knows, maybe somebody could have been trapped in the car. Maybe he didn't know where he was. He was definitely feeling desperate. And instead, he lost his life because he went to the police for help. That unfortunately should be a warning in today's modern society.
This is what's going on. The police used to be the people that you ran for help. But now they're like the last people you'd want to call. And the ACLU is actually doing a whole investigation right now. It's ongoing, of the militarization of police in America. And as you see, towns don't need tanks. And they talk about how American neighborhoods are increasingly being policed by cops armed with the weapons and tactics of war, and that federal funding in the billions of dollars has allowed state and local departments to gain access to weapons and tactics created for overseas combat theaters. So this is what's going on. And they cite several examples. I'm not going to read all of these. But in North Dakota, police officers borrowed a Predator drone from Homeland Security. Oh yeah, Homeland Security owns many Predator drones. And they borrowed it to arrest a family who refused to return 6 cows that wandered onto their field. Here's another story where, confused after throwing a deafening and blinding flashbang into a home, police mistakenly shot and killed a sleeping 7-year-old. Down here it says that a Colorado town was shut down for 4 hours because a SWAT team was looking for a man who had stolen a bicycle from a Walmart. That's what's going on. They're responding to this with these SWAT teams. And the Cato Institute has actually done a whole study on botched paramilitary raids in this country. And look at all these dots of raids on innocent suspects and deaths of police officers and nonviolent offenders and innocent people.
All the pink ones are innocent.
Here's what's going on. There are 40,000, some estimates say, 40,000 of these paramilitary SWAT raids on people's houses in a year. And these raids, it's mostly nonviolent drug offenses that are happening. And even here, the ACLU talks about how an Iraq war veteran was shot 60 times by the SWAT raid. And I don't care how many drugs the guy was doing. I don't care if he was doing every drug known to man simultaneously. Nothing about that is such a crime that he deserves to be shot in his home 60 times. What threat did he have against society that justifies him being shot 60 times?
I know that case too, and it was either a case of mistaken identity or false identity, who knows. But there's a lot of factors going on, but among them is the terrorism response that's happened since 9/11. And as everyone knows, you play how you practice, whether it's a sport or a skill or just life. And here's these police acting like they're at war with the American people, acting like they're prepared for a Jack Bauer, we're going to catch an unknown terrorist who might look like your grandmother or your 7-year-old daughter. And that is how they play, and that's how they respond when they knock on these doors, many times with no-knock warrants. And the response is completely out of control, excessive force in nearly every case.
Oh, yeah, and think about it. I mean, we have the Second Amendment in this country, so we have the right to bear arms. And if someone comes to your home and tries to break in the middle of the night, what's your reaction going to be? Well, you probably will grab your gun because that's part of what you have it for, to protect yourself and your family. However, when these paramilitary police show up at your house, if you respond to that by grabbing your gun because you wake up in the middle of the night confused, you don't know what's going on, their reaction is going to be to shoot you so many times. It's insane. It's an insane... And Aaron actually wrote this article, and this...
And this was not a raid, but it was a case where sheriff's deputies were working in a movie theater, and here's a man with Down syndrome who really liked the movie and wanted to stay for the second showing, but they insisted he leave. And the altercation ended with them suffocating him in handcuffs rather than just giving the man some space to calm down. We all have our quirks, and certainly people with Down syndrome are some of the most difficult to deal with when they're upset. It's just one more case of...
is to choke him to death? I mean, this is... And that guy didn't even get charges.
Well, the point is police have forgotten all about the fact that they're supposed to be peacekeepers, supposed to be civil servants with a sworn oath to the Constitution. Instead, they're treating everyone as the most dangerous suspect on the face of the planet.
I mean, look at this case. This is Texas police hit organic farm with massive SWAT raid. This happened just last month here in a small town in Texas. And these paramilitary police showed up at a small organic farm and seized a bunch of their blackberries and okra plants. And they were there for 10 hours terrorizing these people. I mean, what could you possibly be doing on an organic farm that's so bad and such a threat to society? They have to come in full SWAT gear for 10 hours and seize your blackberry plants.
Well,
I mean, what the hell?
This ties in with food freedom and the drug war, because they were supposedly searching for marijuana. They found none or any drugs, but they did destroy all their organic produce and just ruin this place that was obviously doing good work.
I mean, this picture that I used, this was in the public domain. This is just a picture of San Bernardino County SWAT cops. That's what they look like now. This is what police officers look like now. Is this somebody you would want to run to for help? I'm not saying there aren't good cops out there, but this kind of stuff is just insane.
Well, that's just the point. There obviously are good cops, but they protect the bad ones, and the police unions protect them even when they're on trial for these extreme cases where they kill people, and they get them out of jail and make them face little to no time. Again, the BART cop guy is sentenced to 2 years out and 1 year on good behavior for point-blank range shooting someone. Most of them never even see trial, and they're let off on paid leave and everything.
Exactly. I mean, this is ridiculous. And if you look at the stories up at the Daily Sheeple today, look at the first story. Oops, sorry, NYPD cops shoot 2 innocent bystanders instead of perp. Then you have my story. Then you have FBI warns terrorists to attack fuel storage plants inside U.S. Then you have public school. This was actually another one of my stories. Public school made kid imagine herself dying in the Twin Towers on 9/11. That's the kind of indoctrination that's going on into our schools. We are all being immersed and indoctrinated into a total fear-based society. This doesn't speak to the sheeple. This speaks to the fact that on alternative news websites, they're actually trying to show you this is what's going on. This is how it really is. This is the reality that we need to wake up to so we can fight against this. I mean, you go to a regular website and yeah, I mean, this is the Huffington Post. They have the story about the Texas SWAT raid, but they also have like, oh, it's a baby elephant and look what Lady Gaga did yesterday. And oh, look, it's Kate Middleton and the Prince doing some stuff and whatever. And oh, look, it's a baby. And oh, who's Justin Bieber doing? You know, whatever. Who cares? This is what's actually going on. This is the world that we live in. This is the stuff that's happening, and people need to wake up to it so we can actually take our country back.
Yeah, and it's the effect of federalized money and centralized power. It's very dangerous, very destructive. I think we should sign off right there for TruthstreamMedia.com.
Towns don't need tanks.